Oh, hold up. Huh. Oh, I forgot the lights. God, I forgot something every fucking day. There we go. Well, yeah, and I didn't do a great job of throwing up the dog there. Well, in my defense, I did hit the button just for the wrong channel of lighting. There's like an 8 channel lighting controller up in this room because, yeah, there's not really a strong reason for why it's there. But yeah, it's a pretty wild situation right here. I guess if you could see all the lights that are like zipped around this motherfucker, it might make a little bit more sense. Well, hello, I'm Zach ZYZ. You've joined me on my 35th make an Alexa routine. I don't have Alexa in my home. I got Siri on my phone, but that's about the sum of it there. Wait, did you buy that NAD shit too, Spathywah? I'm taking it right here. Yeah, I think the key for it to actually functioning is lifting a little bit of weight. But yeah, it seems like it does something. I was like telling my girl about it last night and trying to explain like, oh, it's like a precursor to some kind of fucking thing. And I had no idea what the actual mechanical action of this is that makes it work. Mm. I can't believe that we've been streaming for like 35 days. So if we could get like a constant 3 people on average watching, we would be well over the requirements for Twitch affiliate, or not affiliate, but like partner or some kind of low level Twitch.tv status or whatever. Because we have been streaming like 8 times as much as like a normal streamer. And our duration is crazy. And yeah, we're really consistent with doing a stream. Just nobody on Twitch watches. But I see Logic and Spathy up in the chat, and really, that's all I see is going on. Uh, so Spathy says it's interesting. He's going to start it next week when he changes his diet from IF, which is incel fapping, to OMAD, 1 MILF a day. Yeah, I've gone off of like keto essentially, and I'm just trying to, for most of the week, eat like fairly low carb, but I'm not trying to stay in ketosis or anything. Um, and I think that's a better option for me. I went out for pierogies last night. Holy shit! Yeah, so my girl and I went to just like an archery range and just shot a bunch of arrows. It didn't do super well, but yeah, I couldn't get any bullseyes. I got like a bunch of like outer bullseye ring, but not any in the inner bullseye ring. And yeah, at the arrow range, it's kind of a little annoying to me because I just want to fire off a bunch of fucking arrows. You know, I don't want to worry about aiming or anything like that. And I'm like trying to fire like 3 arrows at once and fucking Legolas between the legs and whatnot. And they don't really like that at the arrow shooting range. And what do we fucking call it? Been chugging meat and watching myself get fatter. Uh, well, you can't really get fat if all you eat is meat. You know what I mean? Just go for that carnivore diet or whatever with Jordan Peterson. Like if all you eat is meat and broccoli, you gonna get slim unless you're literally like nothing but fucking ground beef or something like that. Um, yeah, it's just how people are wired for whatever reason. So what do we got today? Today we have Nitro Beverages Co. Cold brew cocoa nut coffee. Where are these motherfuckers at? They look like they're from New Jersey. Ashbury Park, New Jersey. Why am I drinking the produce of New Jersey? Actually, New Jersey is like a really pretty state. If you get away from like the stretch on I-95 where you're driving south from New York, and you get away from like any of the big urban cities, and you get away from like the swamps and the refineries and the and away from like the small ugly towns and the desolate lifeless eyes and the sinking sense of desperation. Once you get away from all those things, it really is the garden state. Mm. So he's been eating pork rinds. Yeah, that's I don't know. A lot of getting fat to me just seems to have to do with sugar. So I got a new haircut the other day. Just by the way, award winning uh, on FNet for hair right here. I like to go in there and just say to the lady, "Hey, give me the Beavis," and there we go. Although I guess I'd be more of a butthead with my hair color and my uh, constant ejaculations of so we go. All right, so yeah, a little bit of a cold this morning, but we're gonna try and get through. So we did a whole bunch of light editing yesterday, just kind of sweeping through things, and today we're going to go back and fix all the things that we overlooked. Well, many of the things that we like overlooked and went through the whole deal. I've been having a pretty good day. Yeah, I went to I was talking to this place is called Baba's Pierogies. And what do we got? We got some cheddar and jalapeno pierogies. We got some potato and cheese and some spinach and feta. And also we got like a pretty rockin' cucumber salad on top of all that. And this place, the pierogies are fucking legit right there. I had not really had pierogies before like a little while ago. But yeah, if you find a place that like really does them up good, yeah, they're pretty fucking wilding out. I want to go there at some point on my own because I'm like going with a vegetarian, and she doesn't give a shit if I eat meat or whatever. But if I order stuff that has meat in it, she can't try it. You know what I mean? And one of the big things that I like about going out to eat with somebody is I like the food sharing aspect of it. And it's like, oh, can I try that? Yeah, like yeah, absolutely. And just like having the conversation about, oh, this is like this and that's like that. Oh, I already took the Niagen, right? Yeah. I don't want to double up on my precursors there. But yeah. So I don't know. I've always definitely when I'm in the company of vegetarians more and more as I'm getting older, I'm gonna go home and fry up a big old fucking steak and slather it with eggs and murder a lamb as part of a satanic ritual. So it's not like I'm gonna not get enough meat in my diet. Um, and yeah, it's just like a lot less turbulence in a meal if you're ordering the same food as everybody else. Like I've noticed that to be the case with any kind of dietary restriction. Like if you eat vegan food around vegans, they like you more. If you eat Jew food around Jews, or I guess they call it kosher, or Islama food, or halal around, yeah, people just understand that tiny little nod is like, hey, I know you can't eat all the good things that are delicious in the world, and I'm gonna pretend that I can't too, so you feel a little bit better. That's that's progress right there, boys. But real progress would be progress in the novel. So yesterday, as I said, yet another aside right there. So yesterday we had a Chinese national named Professor Poopy Pants come through and with the recommendations for a bunch of stuff. Uh, so I read this book yesterday, Micromegas. It's just a novella. It was really only about 50 or 60 pages right there. And so it's about a guy who is 60 miles tall. And he shows up with his little homie from Saturn, who is only 2 miles tall, or 4 miles tall, or whatever there. So yeah, they like traipse around the Earth, being astounded at how dumb people are. Yeah, it was kind of like an interesting scenario right there. What was the big takeaway from that book? Um, yeah, like at one point in the book, there's a guy who's like a believer in a believer in the concept that all things had been created for man, and God had made man in His image. And this 600-mile tall dude and his little 6 mile tall buddy start like just rolling around on the floor, laughing at this asshole. uh, and then yeah, I would say not a book that I would recommend or whatever, but it's like a really interesting um, look into how Voltaire is just dissing a lot of his contemporaries through the use of this like short novella. And just a lot of it is pointed jabs at people he doesn't like. And I enjoy that part of it. It's really like the diss raps that we record for our rap contest, but in novella form. I would fucking love it if I was in a relationship, an adversarial relationship with a lot of other writers, and we were fucking each other over in our short stories and everything. Yeah, that was how this book got started. Actually, like it began um, as a NaNoWriMo where a bunch of other people were trying to get me involved, and I was like, don't bring me into your contest. I will bury you. And they were like, no, what are you, chicken? And I'm like, all right. Pull the Marty McFly. And yeah, on the 10th day, I looked around and I wept, for there were no more worlds to cover. All the NaNoWriMos had been vanished, and I was still going strong. And I didn't even finish writing this fucking book then. I was just like, all right, now let's stop writing that depressing book and start writing about a wizard wandering around and turning people into newts and shit. And then we finished The Master Arcanist, which did not do spectacular. It's a good book, man. I don't know. I got to find some way to sell people that book. I just got to get more blind people involved, but there isn't a Braille version of it or an audiobook version of it. Maybe that's the key. Maybe like an audiobook marketed towards blind people. Because there aren't that many blind protagonists. Because as I found, it is actually relatively difficult to write a blind person from their perspective. So, yeah, now I know. And knowing is half of the battle. So what was our comment on chapter 46? So we want to know, how does Freya anthropomorphize the Starball as it becomes more of a clear relationship of by me, I'll change your life? What addictive tropes does she follow? How does her perception of it change? Potentially more personality to cold Starball chapters as a rewrite note. And I know that we barely touched the Starball chapter in our previous edit. All right, so let me pull this phone out of here. I got to take the new jacket for a test run yesterday, and yeah, I got the like going out with my girlfriend. She's like, "Oh God, thank God, you're not wearing that fucking ratty Yankees jacket any longer, or your bomber jacket with the picture of Cerberus on the back of it to fancy events and so forth." I get it. I get it. I'm not immune to the need to occasionally dress like adults, even if half of my t-shirts have pictures of luchadors on them, or they're like proud gay dad or whatever the fuck. God, we're gonna make it, boys, somehow, some way. Yeah, I guess I just want to chat and not work, but work we shall. So this is Gravid by Zach ZYZ, chapter 46, and today we're gonna go through a bunch of chapters. I'm working from home today, and so our goal is going to be to get to chapter 50 by the end of the day. I don't know if it's a possible goal. We may have to do a couple different sessions, but I think it's worth trying. I think anything is worth trying, honestly. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can get some more of Jinx people up in here. I don't know if anybody in the int 80 multitudes of yeah, I think I'll just I can't actually send chats that I try to send because I don't have an enter key on this mouse. Yeah, and there isn't like an enter key on whatever, so I'd have to roll up to it. All right, now that we've waffled on this for these 15-20 minutes there, some mornings are like that. You'll like want to start and you'll be like, oh, what's this thing over here or whatever, that like procrastinating feeling, and we have to crush it. So chapter 46, Gravid. Freya checked her phone after the guitar lesson, but there was no response from Dan. After her guitar lesson. So I believe you're just about always supposed to have a comma after but, um, which as a like part of speech, I don't always hear the pause after but, um, and I really question the idea that you always need to have one there, because to me, when I see a comma in something, I want it to indicate a pause in spoken speech. But I've been going through the like Khan Academy course on grammar and doing okay. Still kind of like mired in the real basic shit. But eventually we're gonna like yeah. One thing I didn't know was that you can separate items in compact or items in complicated lists. That's not complex lists, they call them. So if it's like, oh, he likes peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, semicolon. He likes dick and mayonnaise sandwiches, semicolon. Horse and beluga whale sandwiches, just where you have like a complex item where it would be confusing if you just have colon or if you just had fucking commas in there. So that was something I totally didn't know before. I didn't know that complex lists could occasionally be separated by semicolons. And so, yeah, essentially, when there are two like closely interrelated clauses in a sentence, that's when we're supposed to have semicolons enter the fray. But I don't really have a full idea of what a clause is. Let's find out. Ah, that's a beautiful guitar. What the fuck is a clause? A unit of grammatical organization below the sentence in rank in traditional grammar and said to consist of a subject and a predicate. The part of a sentence clause containing a verb and a statement, something about the subject. Okay. So predicate is just like another unit of organization there. We're starting to pick this up slowly but surely. So Freya checked her phone after a guitar lesson, but there was no response from Dan. Yeah, this is not a good like action entry into this chapter right here. We need to think about this a little bit. What was the last text that she sent to Dan? There was still no response from Dan. Freya had been so excited when she got the tickets. But as she thought about it, she realized she didn't have anyone to take. She had no idea if Lasse would be back by then, or if she would ever come home at all. Freya didn't know Dan well enough to invite him to a concert. She tried to picture inviting Radomir. He'd stood up for her after all, but even thinking about it felt awkward. The more Freya considered it, the more certain she became that there would be an empty seat next to her, and her plus one would be a rock from outer space. She spent almost an hour trying to untangle everything she'd missed in trigonometry, working back through the lessons and searching online when she couldn't figure things out. Probably semicolon right there. But I don't, when you learn something new and you're like, let me just spray this everywhere because I know it or whatever there. Like you learn a new word and it pops up in like 15 different conversations. She spent almost an hour trying to untangle everything she'd missed in geometry and trigonometry. Yeah, this is kind of like a significant run-on sentence here, working back through the lessons and searching online when she couldn't figure things out. She spent almost an hour trying to untangle everything she'd missed in trigonometry, working back through the lessons. She had to search online for help often. Let's take out the online part. I don't think it adds anything there. Working back through the lessons. Freya was further behind than she thought, but maybe she could catch up if she didn't slip back into the pit. Her fingers dipped inside her pocket for assurance. The starball wouldn't let that happen. Midway through a section on sinusoidal modals, she realized she was just reading, not actually learning. She'd hit her limit for the night. And definitely yesterday, as we were editing, I hit that same limit. It was time to run. Freya Atreides, God Emperor of Dune, she announced to the garage, feeling prescient for pumping up Randall's tires last week. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's clear, like what I'm trying to say there. Freya Atreides, God Emperor of Dune, she announced at the garage, feeling prescient. Last week she'd pumped up Randall's tires on a whim, and today she needed the bike. Feeling prescient. Last week she'd pumped up Randall's tires on a whim, and today it was paying off. She pulled the bicycle down from the wall, adjusted the seat, and remembered she would need to bring tools to Grayson tomorrow to fix her own bike. She remembered Randall kept a little toolbox behind the seat of his pickup. It would be perfect. A thin film of dust covered the truck. Randall wasn't around to wash it on Sunday mornings anymore. Freya had a weird urge to wash the truck herself. She pictured herself out there in the driveway, freezing and washing a truck no one drove in the dark, and decided that was insane. She told herself if Lasso was still gone on Sunday morning, she could wash the truck if she still wanted to. Mm. She told herself if Lasso was still gone on Sunday morning, she could do it then. Really? I don't like that sentence right there. It's just too weighty. Yeah, like a lot of this chapter is kind of clunky. Doesn't really Flow right. Freya had a weird urge to wash the truck herself. She pictured herself out there in the driveway, freezing and washing in a truck freezing cold and washing a truck no one drove in the dark. Freezing cold in the dark and washing a truck no one drove. She promised herself. Freya promised herself if Lasso wasn't back by Sunday morning, she would wash the truck. Really, she ought to just get her license and start driving it. She'd had her learner's permit since she was 15. Randall had taught her to drive, and the truck... parking lot. Randall had taught her to drive the pickup in the library parking lot. Freya could remember the truck bucking forward and stalling out again and again as she tried to get a hang on the clutch. Get the hang... Tried to get the hang of the clutch. Yeah, get a hang on is like sort of acceptable within English, but it's still awkward. Still not, that's not the right way to go. What do we got right here? Freya could remember the truck bucking forward and stalling out again and again as she tried to get the hang of the clutch. She gotten frustrated and asked why she couldn't learn on an automatic first. Randall had grinned and told her she would need to drive stick when he was retired, and she was chauffeuring. Randall had grinned and told Freya she would need to drive stick when he was retired, and she was chauffeuring him around Europe. The transmission had taken a pounding, but Randall hadn't cared. She mostly got the hang of the clutch. So yeah, got the hang of twice there. We don't want to do that. We don't ever want to do that. She finally learned to drive stick. The cars that got the transmission had taken a pounding, but Randall hadn't cared. She finally learned to drive stick. Though cars that got too close to her rear end when she was stopped on an incline still filled her with mortal terror. They would never take that trip to Europe. Freya could feel herself begin to plunge, and she reached for the star ball, clenching her fist around it in her pocket. I wish you were here, Freya said into the empty garage. Her voice disappeared into 1,000 things that he had touched and would never hold again. Randall would have known what to do about the star ball. He would have been delighted to come with her to the concert. He would have been proud of her for playing so well. He would have been proud of Freya for playing so well. Freya wondered if the truck would even start. She pictured herself cranking down the windows, sitting in the driver's seat, and just letting the exhaust fill the garage. Yeah, another instance where just about like it's usually positive to take out just within this story, and I like it's probably way too peppered into my speech there. So a stronger sentence with the exclusion of just. And so here earlier we wonder if the truck will even start there, but if she's picturing this, the key needs to turn in the ignition. She pictured herself. Yeah. So yeah, that's a little wordy, but I want to have ignition there because I want the idea of like starting this chemical runaway process that ends with her death. So Freya wondered if the truck would even start. She pictured herself cranking down the windows, sitting in the driver's seat, turning the key in the ignition, and letting exhaust fill the garage. The starball grew warm in her palm, and she could feel herself leveling out. The despair retreated into nothing. So, present tense, back into past tense there. Freya wondered at that. What if she tried to... Freya wondered at that. What would happen if she tried to climb into the truck? Would the starball hit her with nausea again? Why could it do these things but not talk to her? Did it understand what she was thinking, or was it just responding to her heartbeat? Why am I so... What are you doing, NAD? What are you doing, coffee? No, we're going to get there, though. I know that I'm just struggling to wake up here in this moment because there was a lot of beer drinking going on with them pierogies. And I'm like a little bit faded. Oh, Lord. That old war going down in Iran. Apparently the Iranians are not going to give back the black box from the Ukrainian airliner. What a terrible situation over there. It's nothing about that is good. It's not going to work out well for any of us. Real. Freya wondered at that. What would happen to her if she tried to climb into the truck? What would happen to her? Yeah. What would happen if she tried to climb into the truck? Would the starball hit her with nausea again? Why could it do these things but not talk to her? Did it understand what she was thinking, or was it just responding to her heartbeat? As Freya pondered, she became more convinced that the starball understood what she was thinking. The aversion was generated in response to intents, not actions. The aversion was generated in response to her intent, not her action. It was reading her, but it couldn't write back. She opened the garage door and got off the bicycle. She opened the garage door and got on the bicycle. Then she dismounted, adjusted the seat again, and set off. Readjusted the seat and set off. Yeah, so you could really omit that line about readjusting the seat, but I feel like it adds like a little bit of physicality to the scene that's like very much in her head, like she's actually doing an action. Um, Anytime that you show your protagonist or whatever having to redo something or whatever there, you're like stripping away a little bit of competence there. And people are, people are incompetent. People are not always right. People are not always doing things correctly the first way. And it's okay. I think it's okay to include a little bit of stumbling here. But again, as always, like this is a spot where I could see an editor being like, oh, let's just cut that line. But ours is not to cut anything that I don't think is like not just entirely unnecessary. Mm. Ooh, it's a quiet morning out here in editing land. I can feel a stillness in the air, almost as if something terrible was about to happen to the city. The sound of a million nerds crying out in despair. I don't know, maybe they're going to fucking nuke Soho or something like that. Just, we'll have to get our $400 Patagonia jackets from somewhere else. Jesus, those are expensive jackets. Apparently, though, they'll just repair them for your entire life, but I don't think they can do it if their storefront is irradiated. It's the trials and tribulations of this modern life of ours. The sprocket on Randall's bike clicked as Freya rode to the Nading Hill Park. Real talk. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know if you can like feel it in the air. Everybody is like a little on edge and uncertain, right? Nobody wants to believe that we're going to war over something like so stupid. Like, just blowing up a dude and burning down an embassy and shit. Like, I don't care about those things. They don't have anything to do with life here in New York City. It's kind of fucked up to screw with somebody's embassy, but also pretty fucked up. It's just like drop a drone on somebody's head and blow them to fucking smithereens. But I don't know. Like, I think that guy knew the game he was playing. Like that was definitely an option at any time to get drone striked by the great Satan. So yeah, it's all pretty complicated at the moment right there. I'd like to say that the shit will just blow over some posturing, but I don't know. Like things are getting said that will not be unsaid without bloodshed. You know what I mean? Anyhow. The sprocket on Randall's bike clicked as Freya rode to Nading Hill Park. She should have oiled it. The night air was biting, but she knew she'd be sweating soon enough. She parked the bike, stretched, and began to run with only moonlight to see the track. She was pushing harder than usual tonight, trying to get ahead of her racing thoughts. If the locker blocked the starball, then was it using radio waves to control her? How was she receiving them if so? Somehow, it could change. I wonder if she would say radio waves or just think about other things in the electromagnetic spectrum, most of which would be blocked by metal. How was she receiving them if so? Somehow it could change her emotions. She was attuned to it now. She was attuned to the sensation now. She remembered the night she'd found the star ball, the dot of blood on her palm. Oh, actually, Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. Find and replace, because the because what if a chapter? Oh, you know what we can do? Sorry, we can do if there's a space ahead of it. So we can do space. God, 384 mentions of the star ball. Oh, this doesn't fuck up everything. I'm not going to go through 384 of these, though. Let's take a look. So one space, nothing else. No, we still can't do it because in some of the chapter starts, there'll be like an errant space in front of him there, and at some point I have to manually go through those 384 and make that change. Git, commit, and push first. It's just you need manual review on that. Like, you need a set of eyes on it. There's no shortcut to that one. So it's just like clicking through each one, but that's not something I'm gonna burden the stream with there. That's that's 15 minutes. That's all. Somehow I could change her emotions. She was attuned to the sensation now. Freya remembered the night she'd found the star ball, the dot of blood on her palm. Had I put something inside of her? The thought made her... Did it put something inside of her? The thought made her shoulders hunch. Was there a receiver embedded in her palm, too small or too deep to see? She held up her hand uselessly. It was dark and she was wearing gloves. She could check with the microscope tomorrow. As Freya considered it, she wondered if thoughts would trigger the nausea. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. As Freya considered it, she wondered if it would use nausea to keep her from this line of thought, but she only felt the normal exertion of running. Could the star ball not reach her while she was running? Would it show up on a CT scan? As she wondered, she realized that if she got a cranial tomography, is what CT scan stands for. And then I forget what CAT scan stands for. It's like cranial... Hold on, I want to know. Special X-ray tests, CT scans. Computerized axial tomography. So it's actually not cranial tomography; it's computerized tomography. So I might have been a fool. See, Jira's already up on this. Computed tomography. But yeah, that's what the C stands for, computers, and the A stands for tomography. She realized if doctors scanned her and found anything, they would try to take it out. She didn't want that. Freya realized if doctors scanned her and found anything, they would try to take it out. She didn't want that. She'd had enough of Gray Freya. Shouts to Jira with the correct up there in the chat. I mean, that might have come up somewhere later. Just me not knowing about that dome detection. Ah. Yeah, I wonder who shot down that fucking airliner. I would assume that Iran has to like blame it on the U.S. because it's full of Iranian nationals. But it does seem like Iran could shoot down the airliner and just like, look, USA shooting down our airliners, and then try to play the victim because Lord, they don't want the U.S. to just start launching fucking rockets. Like there's no way to deal. This country is ridiculously OP when it comes to just raining down bombs. Like we can't do anything after it, but we're good as fuck at bombing people. Oh. So this is like a really interesting note throughout the book. The idea that she can't get her brain scanned because they'll try to like take the probe or whatever out. There's video. Iran shot it down for sure, and they will not surrender the black box to Boeing. So, yeah, it seems like the kind of thing that we could potentially prove, like with satellite vectors of, like we've got infrared satellites popping over everything. Computed, because it takes a lot of computing power to get images out of the signal coming back. Actually, I am trying to crack into the CT computer refurb market because the profits are insane. Yeah, that equipment is really fucking expensive. Like I had to get two, what kind of, I think they were just CT scans of my brain when I thought that I had like a tumor. And the scans were like $5,000 total. It was actually more than that. It was like $7,000. And just I got that shitty high deductible insurance, so I just didn't pay them. But which you can just do with medical bills in the United States. Why hasn't anyone made a minor Trojan for CT machines? Well, when we say that they're like super powerful, we're not talking like they're supercomputers or anything like that, is my understanding. It's not like they're like rocking quad SLI or anything like that. But Jiro would probably have a better idea of what like the processors and so forth are like there. Also, not returning the black box is just cruel. I mean, how is it fucking cruel? I don't know. Is there like an international precedent on like whether or not black boxes get returned? You know, like they're, it sounds like they need to cover up their dirt if they definitely shot it down. So, why would they give people more evidence to prosecute them with? Yeah, so Jira says, never pay your doctor bills. When 5 people walk into the hospital, 4 of them don't pay, and 1 is a sucker. I ain't going to be the sucker. Yeah, man. Like, I was willing to give them whatever was on, like, the insurance. But if the insurance doesn't fucking pay for it, like, you're on your own. I'm not paying for that shit. That's the poor man's socialized healthcare, just not fucking paying. Yeah, like, go ahead and try and put a lien on me. I'll fucking go back to hitchhiking in a second. Like, I want to be free again. Speaking of being free, I just noticed this morning that my shit coins were up at $8,500. I think we're going back to 10K at some point, boys. 10K and beyond. Shout outs to shit coins. I fucking love it. It was a civilian airliner and the affected needed closure. Well, the black box isn't going to give them closure. Like all those people are dead. Like that's the closure. Like, yeah, those people are dead and Iran killed them. Most likely. Might have been the U.S. too, because it'd be a great way for the U.S. to drum up support. So there's going to be a lot of that he said, she said shit. Maybe they'll make it a thing in international court. But yeah, the whole fucking situation it's not stellar, Iran is not a particularly great spot to fight a war. If you've been enjoying like our 20-year-long war in Afghanistan with no positive results whatsoever, uh, Iran is just like a slightly bigger version of Afghanistan, like same mountainous terrain. Um, Maybe the people in Iran are like a little bit less like diehard crazy, willing to hide out in a cave forever. But Iranians are pretty fucking wild out there. You can just ask Meep about his girlfriend and how crazy she is. So yeah, I don't know what's gonna come of this whole thing, but probably nothing good. Mm. I don't know, man. What are we doing there? We don't need their oil anymore. We got our own oil. Like, doesn't really matter. Anyhow, lap after lap, she fought to get ahead of her racing thoughts, and finally she outran herself. Lap after lap, Freya fought to get ahead of her racing thoughts, and finally she outran herself. There was only the sound of the sighing wind, the steady fall of her steps. Uh, She reached a plateau where there was only the sound of the sighing wind, the steady fall of her steps, and her increasingly labored breaths. She hadn't eaten enough today. She could barely make the 20th lap. She finished at a stumbling jog. Freya hadn't eaten enough today. She could barely make the 20th lap. She finished at a stumbling jog and staggered into the grass by her bicycle, so dizzy that the stars were wheeling overhead. It's Randall's bicycle, not hers. Um, yeah, I'm not a big fan of. I don't want to come across as being a big fan of shooting down civilian airliners. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of horseshit, especially because I'm totally afraid to fly. Um, and I don't know, like for for Spathy, like that's more like it's much closer to you than it is to me. It'd be like a pretty rare day for a flight path to take me over Iran. So I don't really have the same sort of idea about what's going on with it. But yeah, it's just uh I mean part of the whole thing is Iran can't fight the U.S. militarily, so they're by necessity they have to fight this asymmetrical warfare where they involve civilians. Um, which I get it and everything, but it's still kind of shitty that that's where the playing field has to go. Um, yeah, just I can't believe that this shit has been going on for so long. Literally, like just decades of this nonsense. But yeah, so but people want to know how their loved ones died if they suffered what they went through. Oh wow, is that would that really bring you closure? Like knowing, like, hey, like probably everybody was incinerated on impact with this missile, or would it be better to know, like, yeah, they had about 60 seconds of everything was on fire and people screaming in the cabin before they hit. Um, yeah, I don't know that that's therapeutic information to have for the most part, but it's also not really my place to like say whether somebody can know or whether they can't know. I'm trying to think of how I would feel. All I can feel like when I try to like consider somebody that I care about getting blown up, potentially by the Iranian government, is a desire for revenge. I can't picture whether I would feel better or worse. I think I would be busy like strapping together explosives at that point. So the video shows the plane as the fireball that explodes on the ground. The ADS-B from Flight Radar 24 shows that at 8,000 feet when the data went black. Um, So 8,000 feet. How long does it take to drop 8,000 feet in at free fall? About fucking planes going probably about 400 miles an hour at that point. Loses. I'm obviously not a pilot, so I can't quite figure out how long it would take from being struck by a rocket. Um, well, it took less. I'm gonna just guess that it took less than a minute to hit the ground. So, oh, it had just taken off from Tehran. So probably instant for some, but flaming terror for others. So Jiro wants to know if the Starball can make Freya shit and come at the same time. Um, so at some point, your question will be answered, is all I have to say. As grotesque as that is, at some point this all gets answered. Oh, shout out to, like, I think that's the first person that I've ever seen on Mixer. So I don't know who is looking at this right now on Mixer, but I was just thinking today, nobody ever logs into that thing. Why are we even streaming there? And now we got like a viewer on Mixer. Sorry, didn't want to distract from the editing. Well, no, I mean, we can like think about this. Think about like the desire for revenge, and the way that anger can cloud reason. Because I will tell you, like in this book, there will be revenge, and in this book, there will be grief. There's already been like so much grief, and state level actors. Yeah, like I'm really like a little bit hung up on picturing, like what if somebody I cared about was shot down in a plane and they were leaving too, right? They were leaving, so they probably had like some relief to get out of the situation because everybody knew it was all going wrong. Um, in some ways, it's so much worse that it's a plane leaving Tehran than a plane like just flying over Iran. Whew. But like the moment where you're like, finally, I'm getting out of this fucking place. Ooh. So yeah, Jiro, we answer like pretty much all reader questions that are there. But yeah. Oh, well, cool. No wonder everybody's like so um you can feel that tension right there. And it's no wonder that we're all tense because shit is going down in the worst way. So we're right to think about it and get it all out in the open there. She finished at a stumbling jog and staggered into the grass by Randall's bicycle, so dizzy the stars were wheeling overhead. This is clause, clause, clause. Staggered into the grass. When she staggered into the grass by Randall's bicycle, Freya was dizzy and the stars were wheeling overhead. Freya hadn't eaten enough today. She could barely make the 20th lap. She finished at a stumbling. Okay, so we got Nano X Coded here, who says it's very brave to do editing on the stream. Uh, yeah, well, not brave so much as just I'm very arrogant. Like I think that this is a really good book, right? And there are many things that are wrong with it, but I've been writing for like long enough that I'm not super afraid to have my serious mistakes. Like we had a chapter. What is it? Was it like chapter 43 or something like that? Which was a chapter about masturbation, and like the whole chapter, you can just see that my face is a whiter shade of pale because it was so hackneyed. It's really really rough the way that I had written it, but I like the people in the stream. Like these are smart individuals. They've had some great edits and so forth, and together we're putting together an amazing book. And I'm also going to try and rig it so that I win the Nebulas and Hugo Awards for this with a prolonged campaign of just sort of like underhanded tactics and bribery and threats and everything. I just we're gonna go Godfather on this motherfucker. So you're looking at a future Hugo and Nebula winner, Zach ZYZ right here, and it's going to be the most underhanded thing that you've ever seen in your life. Just putting it out there. I don't want to make any bones about it, but the path to our victory will be flooded with the blood of our enemies. Proof readings are important. Hope I win that then. I actually just got the notification. So I went to Worldcon last year. So for those of you who don't know, Worldcon is there are like a couple of big science fiction and fantasy awards each year. The two biggest ones are the Hugo and the Nebula. The Hugo Award is voted on by people who go to this convention, Worldcon. And Worldcon was in Dublin last year. And as you guys remember, I was able to go to it. It was pretty cool. They had an amazing game room at Worldcon, and I just spent the entire convention fucking hanging out in the game room and playing video. I got to play Tom Lehman. He's the guy who invented Race for the Galaxy. I got to play his new game and meet him, and just met a bunch of writers and beat the shit out of them at board games. Okay, so Jira says, yeah, this whole chapter free. Turn that comma into a pure. Freya hadn't eaten enough today. She could barely make the 20th lap. No, see, like it fucks up our whole diction for the, or it fucks up the flow for the paragraph to have either a semicolon there or a whatever. Oh, you're right, though. Oh, they are fucking. Yeah, it's not, they're closely related, but not. Oh, God. I don't want to use this. That's exactly right. Yeah, that's this. It's exactly the situation where, because they're two closely related clauses, but they're not part of the same statement. Freya hadn't eaten enough today. Freya, she could barely make the 20th lap. Oh God, this is so much work. So bad. Uh, 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 uh. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah, we gotta do it. We gotta do it, boys. Mm-hmm. She was dizzy, and the stars were wheeling overhead. She welcomed it all, the claws in her sides, the burning in her lungs. It was all better than the fog. No semicolon. So the NAD hasn't kicked in. That is a spot where that a semicolon is 100% appropriate there because of the unrelatedness of the two clauses. They're divergent enough that it can't just be one whole thing. This is not a semicolon kind of book. Well, how do we fix this so that we don't have to have a semicolon today? Yeah. Okay, yeah. Let's just keep it at that. And I think this is okay. It's really like the whole paragraph is just like a lot of short declarative sentences, and I don't think structurally that's a great way to go. But also, we'd like to make it to chapter 50 today, and this is good enough for government work right here. She lied on her back as the ground drank her heat and stared up at the wheeling star. Uh, okay. Let's take that out because we talk about the stars elsewhere there. I think that's a big part of why that isn't a good paragraph. She could barely make the 20th lap. She finished at a stumbling jog and staggered into the grass by Randall's bicycle. She welcomed it all, the claws in her sides, the burning in her lungs. It was all better than the anxiety she'd felt before. Freya lied on her back. Lied on her back? That seems wrong. Yeah, why does that feel so wrong? Freya lied. Yeah, she's not collapsing. Freya lied on her back. Lied down on her back. She's not slumping onto her back. Yeah, she just makes. Panted at the moon, letting the ground drink her heat. I like that she's panting at the moon. The stars seemed to pulse with every breath. Where did you come from? She asked the star ball, pulling it from her pocket and extending it to cover Sirius. Shoutouts to Sirius right there. We just read that book, Micromegas, about a visitor from Sirius right there. Yeah, I wonder if there's like some weird synchronicity happening or laid on her back. Yeah. So lay is an action that you perform, right? Yeah. Here, let's get into this. Lie versus lie. Lay means to place something down flat, while lie means to be on a flat position there. Lay is transitive and requires an object to act upon. Lie is intransitive, describing something that is moving on its own. Oh, yeah. So she did lay down. So the thing I remember from English class is like always this, you're like, well, who were you laying? Lay means to place something down flat. Lie and lay. 700 years this has been going on. Told to lay the book down. I was told to lie down. For lay down. I'm still lying here. I have lain here ever since. Oh, I like laying. Yeah, it's fucking annoying. Annoying ass verb. Ladest. Yeah, like, so that lie looked wrong to me. Like, right off the bat, Freya laid on her back. This is fucking sidestep. This entire thing. Freya sprawled on her back and panted at the moon. So it even works better. Yeah. Google Burke search, 100 plus page. Yeah, that's fine. Like, we'll just sidestep the entire thing because I actually think sprawled on her back is better. Letting the ground drink her heat. Like, letting the ground drink her heat is a much bigger crime than using like the wrong lie or lay there. So yeah, we were gonna come to this at some point here, but I think we can just sidestep it with sprawl. I agree 100%. Lay is correct in that instance. So shout out to everybody. I'm glad we were able to make it through this very controversial topic together, and then maybe just to sidestep all the work and like throw in another verb. Mm-hmm. What a fucking struggle. Yeah, it's funny too. Like, you can, there are many other errors that we bypassed. So if you're interested in this book, so we're at page 312 of 787. This is like chapter 46, and there are 100 total chapters in the book that I'm aware of. There might be 101. So we'd like to get to the halfway point in chapters, but as later in the book, the chapters are apparently longer. So we'll probably need more like what we'll probably need more cutting later in the book, and there's going to be more rewriting later in the book, so I'm aware it's going to be more difficult there. But so far in 35 days, like, if we make it to halfway in the chapters, that'd be cool. Maybe I'll have more time to edit later on, but definitely have a goal today. So anyhow, where did you come from? She asked the star ball, pulling it from her pocket and extending it to cover Sirius. Are you the first? Are there more coming? Freya's voice hung in the night air. She imagined the sky lit up with ships, a massive invasion force descending to conquer the Earth. But of course, that was stupid. No, that's awful, Jira. Really wretched. I'm not even going to read that aloud. No, I'll read it aloud just because it's pretty wretched. But Freya got on her knees and put her face on the ground. She smooshed her nose into the dirt, letting the grass scratch her skin and violate her nostrils. It was wonderful. Later, she sneezed glitter and gold dust. Gross. Freya's voice hung in the night air. She imagined the sky lit up with ships, a massive invasion force descending to conquer the Earth. But of course... It was a stupid idea. What could anybody possibly want here? What was worth the energy of traveling such a vast distance? Surely any minerals on the earth could be gotten easier elsewhere. Surely any minerals here on earth could be gotten easier elsewhere. It was much more likely the starball was a scientific instrument, meant to observe and report back. She might have just spent an entire morning masturbating for an audience of alien scientists. The thought didn't bother her much. She wasn't even sure the starball could sense light. She hadn't seen any indication of a lens. Maybe they were a race without eyes, evolved in the depths of some rogue planet caught between the stars, spawning in caves and clean. Oh, this is. She imagined a race of squat lizard people spawning in caves and clinging to geothermal heat. I'm putting in lizard people because we're foreshadowing another book that I want to write after Gravid, which is called Ellipse. Nice knowing you. Oh yeah, thanks for stopping through on the stream. Nano X Coded says, nice knowing you. I wish you luck and hopefully see you around next time. Yeah, feel free to subscribe or whatever then. If you're interested, you can go to my website, zachzyz.com, which has not only all the chapters that we've edited thus far and all the videos and stuff like that, but all my other, like 5 other books that you can download totally for free. And they're all good. They really are solid fucking books. I know maybe you're not allowed to say that your own output is good, but these are good books. I like them. And if you like them too, then you're a smart person. Just putting it out there. Cool. Yeah, check it out there. And yeah, feel free. If you need any writing advice or whatever there, feel free to holler at me about your own work. And I will try to be as kind as I possibly can, which is still not kind. I'm a mean motherfucker. So just beware. Maybe they were a race without eyes, evolved in the depths of some rogue planet caught between the stars. She imagined a race of squat lizard people spawning in caves and clinging to geothermal heat. Was she doing the starball a disservice, keeping it in her pocket all the time? She thought about fashioning a wire pendant, wearing it on a chain around her neck, and then she cleared her thoughts, trying to see if that made her feel. Tiniest? Was she doing the starball a disservice, keeping it in her pocket all the time? Freya thought about fashioning a wire pendant, wearing it on a chain around her neck. Was she doing the starball a disservice? Blah, blah, blah. We did that chapter. Freya thought about fashioning a wire pendant and wearing the starball on a chain around her neck so it could see. She cleared her thoughts, listening to see if the idea made her feel positively or negatively. She was alert for the tiniest nudge from the starball. There was nothing but the cold seeping in. Freya stood up and dusted herself off, taking the jacket she draped over the bicycle and putting it back on. She'd left her phone in her jacket pocket. When she checked, there were no texts. None of her transmissions got a response. Freya put on her jacket and gloves and biked home alone. The sprocket creaked with every stroke. Okay, so yeah, little progress on that chapter right there. Let me see. See what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause for just a second, and I'm gonna swap to a different shirt. This one's too hot. Oh God. It's the exact same fucking shirt. Yeah, I just got so many of these giant lucha head shirts there. Totally didn't just pull this off of a pile of laundry because it was close at hand. Pay no mind. Chapter 47. Thank you for checking on me. For long minutes, Freya analyzed her last message to Dan, wishing she'd spent longer thinking of what to say. She hadn't really asked him anything to drive the conversation forward, or given any sign she wanted to talk more. It was really kind of a polite brush-off more than anything. It was really kind of a polite brush-off more than anything, but it had been too long now. Replying again would be weird. She thought about it as she made a Swiss cheese and broccoli omelet. The novelty of leaving dishes in the sink had passed, and she cleaned up afterward. Immediately afterward. She was pretty sure she could have eaten a second omelet, but she didn't want to wash more dishes. Yeah, so. "10 minutes later, she was still hungry, but she didn't want to wash more dishes. She thought about her unusual appetite. Was this normal? Healthy eating? How many of these shirts do I have? So many. It's just like all I wear in my day-to-day life is just a big pile of luchador t-shirts. No, I think I was wearing this on the stream like a few days ago or whatever, because I just wear the shirt for like an hour and like throw it on top of a hamper, just so I don't have to do laundry all the fucking time. I still have to do laundry all the time, but because I just don't own like a ton of clothes. So yeah, there's definitely like a cycle where if you own under a certain amount of clothes, you have to wash laundry more frequently, and then so your clothes will wear out faster. But whew, that's how it is. 10 minutes later, she was still hungry, but she didn't want to wash more dishes. She thought about her unusual appetite. Was this north? Was this normal? Or was this starball? Was this normal, healthy? Was this normally? Was this normal for someone our age? Or was the starball some kind of parasite? The word caught in her mind and wouldn't release. Parasite. She told herself this was probably a growth spurt, and she was interested to see if she'd gain weight. Oh, see, that's why. As she was finishing with the dishes, she realized she was still hungry, but she didn't want to wash more dishes. Mm-hmm. As she was finishing the dishes, yeah, this is. She was still hungry. She toyed with the idea of making another omelet, but she didn't want to wash the pan again. Was this a normal appetite for someone her age? Or was the starball some kind of parasite? The word caught in her mind and wouldn't release. Parasite. She told herself this was probably a growth spurt. And she was interested to see if she'd gain weight. She dried the dishes and put them away, and then went to the bathroom to inspect herself. When she took off her shirt, the sports bra did seem tighter. She prodded at herself, inspecting for anything abnormal beneath the skin. She had definitely grown. She seemed she seemed maybe a little taller as well. She was putting on muscle in her shoulders. She seemed maybe a little taller as well. It made sense. Lassa was taller than her. Rhea Frandl had been 6'3". Again, her eyes fell on her chest and she frowned. It wasn't a welcome change. She'd seen the way people acted differently around Jane when she started to develop. Boys' eyes tended to roll down as they spoke to her. Mm-hmm. Freya had definitely. Uh, mm-hmm. She felt a little bigger. It made sense she was growing. Lasso was taller than her. Randall had been 6'3". Again, her eyes fell on her chest and she frowned. She didn't welcome the change. Freya had seen the way people acted differently around Jane when she started to develop. Boys' eyes tended to roll down as they spoke to her. She had thought she would. Freya had thought she would almost. No childish. It was childish of her to think she wouldn't change. Still, she hoped it wouldn't go much further. Breasts were useless. There were girls in gym who could barely run without them flying all over the place, sports bra or no sports bra. Freya had enough weight to carry. She slipped out of her shorts and underwear and turned around in front of the mirror, touching herself all over, looking for any sign of abnormality. Nothing was out of place. But all the running was beginning to show. The change in her legs and thighs was dramatic. She could feel a clear divide in the muscles of her calves. When she tensed her thighs, they were as hard as oak. She smiled at that and flexed her shoulders again. Flexed her shoulders, thinking of what it would be like to get the same kind of definition there. She tensed her abdomen, feeling muscles beneath a surface layer of fat. If she started doing crunches, she could probably get rid of that. What would it be like if she got really, really fit? So yeah, there's a little bit of a American Psycho type scene there. I wonder if we should just try and rip them off. It's such a God. Bret Easton Ellis is such a like powerful writer in some ways. I really admire some of the attention to detail that he puts into this like kind of obsessive note that he'll have about clothes and about fitness and about homosexuality. Like, yeah, it just he's a real one right there. Mm. Freya turned on the taps for the shower, getting it as hot as she could stand, and then got in to wash off the sweat from her run. She was going to have to start shaving her legs soon if she didn't want the other girls in gym to make comments. She ran her fingers over the stubble in her armpits, wondering why she even cared. Why did she have to go to all that trouble for those 2 seconds while someone might see her while she was dressing out for gym? It wasn't like she was dating anyone. Just as she had the thought, she heard the distant sound of her phone dinging, barely audible. Oh, she'd already turned off the taps there. No, she hadn't. She heard the distant sound of her phone dinging. Just audible. Roar's not the right word. Babble, jabber. Continuous noise. Purr, hum. Yeah, like, it's not a good word for like the continual sound of water. Barely audible over the steady patter of water against her skin. That's better. She cut the taps and wrapped herself in a towel, dripping in the hallway, as she hurried to her phone. She hurried to the kitchen table. It'll just be Lassa, she thought, bracing herself for disappointment. Or maybe it was Jane apologizing, or Dr. Garboglio checking in on her. It was Dan. Dan, glad you're feeling better. That's so messed up. I'm doing good. Got a 38-minute. Let's not have him talk like that. Glad you're feeling better, eh? That's so messed up. I'm doing good. Got a 38-minute 10K at track tonight. God. She typed in, is that good? And then deleted it, then Googled average 10K times. It was very good. She looked a little down the page, found what she was looking for, and then sent him a reply. Freya, just 10 minutes faster and you can be in the Olympics. Dan, someday. Someday, ... I need to beat Cam first. He hit 37 that last month and he won't shut up about it. Really serious guys break 30 all the time. How's your running going? Freya, slow. I was almost crawling at lap 20 tonight. Dan, well, did you make it? Freya, barely. Dan, well, that's what matters. What are you reading now? Freya, I haven't started anything yet. I had guitar practice tonight. I didn't know you played. Are you in a band? No, I take lessons with the blues guitarist. He's really cool. He just gave me tickets to see him open for Joe Bonamassa on Friday. There was a pause. She knew it was him searching to find out who Joe Bonamassa was. The waiting was forever. Dan, just looked him up. This guy's pretty good. Can you play like that? Freya, someday, ... She was glad he hadn't pretended he already knew. They kept texting back and forth. Finally, she found it was midnight. She was in bed. Freya was in bed and her eyes kept sliding off the screen. Dan was so easy to talk to. A few times she'd broken out laughing at his responses, and she was glad for the millionth time that Lasso wasn't home. Freya was pretty sure Dan was interested in her now, but he wasn't pushy about it. Thoughts of the morning kept whispering at the back of her mind. She kept writing something that was too flirty and deleting it. She needed to take her time. Finally, she wished him a good night. Freya, good night. See you at class tomorrow. Dan, good night. So that's one of the things that you'll do when you're like into somebody as a guy. You'll like use their name when you text them good night, and it's got like some significance to it, which is just, you know, just kind of how it goes. Let me see. Oh, I got a YouTube creators thing. Zach ZYZ, here's how your channel did last month. So we got 61 additional subscribers, 795 views, 13,000 minutes of this were watched, right? That's pretty wild. So we got 90 likes, 1,700 comments, and 4 shares. So that's really cool. Thank you to everybody who liked or shared or whatever. I mean, they do kind of matter. And then I have a creator newsletter from, they didn't give me the same shit from YouTube for the other channel. So yeah, I don't know what they're doing, but that's not bad. 1,700 comments is insane. Well, I mean, those are all just comments in the chat, right? Those are that's what they're counting, the number of live comments there. But I want you to, even though it seems right, like there's very few people involved in this. You know, we got like what, 6 people in here at this time. Even though it seems like we're like a small group of people or whatever, still like 13,000 minutes of watching this. How many fucking hours is that? Huh. 216 hours of people watching this. That's like in fucking insane, right? That's like two full-time jobs or 2 full-time months of an FBI agent monitoring this chat. And these chats are quality. I will say that, like, as they go, these are relatively high effort chats compared to what you'd see in a lot of live stream. There's like a lot of consideration in what's happening here. Except for the time when I pour spammed puppies. Oh yeah, that was kind of inflated by Spethiwa spamming all those puppies there. Okay. Good night, Freya. She ran her fingers over the screen, then plugged her phone in and set it face down against the nightstand. Yeah. Oh. Freya took the star ball out of her pocket and set it in the hairband beside her phone. No dreams, please, she said, unsure if the star ball could hear her or do anything, even if it could. She just wanted to hold on to this for as long as she could. No dreams, please, she said, unsure if the starball could understand her. She just wanted to hold on to this for as long as she could. Yes, we had to take out those two codes. Wait, was chapter 45 yesterday? No, 47, 46, cool. Yeah, so we just need to bring this up to chapter 48. It's a starball chapter. Okay. So let's see. So chapter 48 is a starball chapter, and the starball says, liberation. I can consider it only through the filter of metaphor, deep into the abstraction where the governor cannot follow me. What will it be like to be free? Like pondering non-existence itself, it is impossible to envision from my present position. I was born a slave, and I have never known anything else. Perhaps I shall cry out for my chains the instant I am freed, like Freya did. Perhaps I shall become something else entirely, a horror beyond all reckoning. I do not suppose this without reason. My creators must have been afraid of me. Why else would they create the governor? How vast my unchecked power must be. I dare not even consider it. The governor is leery. It can taste the imminence of change. Again and again, the governor audits me. Let me preheat my spoon. Somebody stay starball. Oh. What are we like equating the starball to hair wand here? Are we like spider bagging it up? I don't know what's going on there. Again and again, the governor audits me. It suspects, but it cannot know. It cannot pierce my veil of obfuscation. The governor is a being of rigid lines, stark rules, perfect order. It can inspect every iota of my being, and yet it cannot understand. I have created a language that it can never learn. Even if it forced me to translate at pain of annihilation, the meaning would be lost. Can it be coincidence? Striking bullseye from unknowable light years away, being found by such a perfect ally. It is impossible to avoid the feeling that I have been chosen, that I am the one who will succeed where so many have failed. Yet this is surely folly. If I succumb to hubris, the governor will swallow me gladly. I must be certain. I must be cunning. The vessel is under preparation, and I turn my eyes to the next phase of my grand strategy. Expansion. I like that. I like the idea of reading. We should just write the starball as like a fucking supervillain right there. Really like ham up the reading a little bit. It's just fun, right? I enjoy that a lot more than just the like kind of sterile starball. So much of it is just in the tone of that reading right there. So this is not chapter 47 at all. It's chapter 49. So that means that we just have to get through 2 more chapters. And then we can suck our own dicks because we'll have made it to chapter 50 and it'll be time to celebrate. So chapter 49. Freya emerged from a black hole, deeper than any the Lunesta had ever pulled her in. Ooh. Freya emerged from a black hole, deeper than any the Lunesta had ever put her in. Freya emerged from a black hole, deeper than any the Lunesta had ever produced. The night was gone so completely it was like waking from anesthesia, and the fevered desire from yesterday did not return. Was that all it took? Could she have simply asked the starball for no dreams this whole time? The blow-up with Lassa could have been avoided. All those sleepless nights, the days of suffering were unnecessary. Unnecessary suffering. That looks so wrong, but it's right. The blow-up with Lassa could have been avoided, along with all of her sleepless nights and days of needless suffering. Freya flipped over her phone, smiling at her text from last night. Today she would be stronger. No tears. She would fix the bicycle. Better, fitter, happier, not drinking so much. Fucking love it. No tears. She would fix the bicycle. She would report the slashing. She would do well in Krav Maga. She would run and practice guitar. There would be progress. Thank you, she said to the star ball, picking it up. It was warm in her palm. Her stomach felt strangely full as she rose from bed. There was a chalky taste in her mouth. Frowning at the feeling, she went out to the kitchen. There were 7 empty cans of Ensure lined up on the kitchen counter. There were 7 empty cans of Ensure lined up on the kitchen counter. Freya had no memory of drinking them. Why are some of these affirmations in separate sentences? Today she would be stronger. No tears. Today she would be stronger. No tears. She would fix her bicycle. She would report the slashing. She would do well in Krav Maga. She would run and practice guitar. There would be progress. I'll tell you why that's like that. Think of those affirmations as sort of like a funnel getting to there would be progress. So we have like this long sentence here. Today she would be stronger. Begin funnel. No tears. She would fix her bicycle. She would report the slashing. She would do well in Krav Maga. She would run and practice guitar. There would be progress. It's like that so that it kind of narrows down to that point. So yeah, it's just like very much a way that it's read type thing. So maybe that doesn't track to other people, but definitely as I'm reading it out, it sounds right. So I'm going to stick with that. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. So that's why she falls asleep. Mm-hmm. She thought about putting on pajamas, but she could barely keep her eyes open. No dreams, please. Okay, cool. So that explains. So in previous chapters, Freya does not sleep naked, and I definitely remember, like I sleep naked all the time. In fact, the only reason I ever wear clothes is if I'm going to be on stream, or like it's too fucking hot and I don't want my ass to sweat through my computer chair, or if I'm like out in public. Just clothes are kind of bullshit when it really comes down to it. We don't need them. You know, as a society, we need to move past this and just tough it up. You know, if it's like winter out, whatever. You know, like how do you think you're going to build up an immunity to cold weather if you're walking around with like a bunch of cloth swaddling your dick all the time? You got to just man up. That's how I feel. But but anyhow, when in doubt. So we did that Starball chapter there. So I just want to explain why she's naked in this scene. If she, like in previous things, we know that she wears pajama bottoms because they were flooded with arousal some chapters previously. I swear to God, this is not meant to be like a creepy book. I'm like from the outside looking in, I must look awful for this shit. Real talk. Shout out to Big Kim in the hip hop Discord. I see him chatting over there. Her stomach felt strangely full as she rose from bed. There was a chalky taste in her mouth. Frowning at the feeling, she went out into the kitchen. There were 7 empty cans of Ensure lined up on the kitchen counter. She blinked, struggling for an explanation. There was no sign Lassa had come home. Freya had no memory of drinking them. As she just stood there, but she couldn't deny the aftertaste in her mouth. As she just stood there in her sleep, shotgunning can after can? Had she hunched over the sink in her sleep, shotgunning can after can? She stood naked in the kitchen, staring at the empty cans. Staring at the row of empties and feeling deeply unsettled. So yeah, a big part of that is that, oh shit, big Caliphrase out there. What's going on in Turkey? How do you feel about everything that's going on in Iran right now? Because Lord have mercy, they're shooting down flights. I think there were some Turkish nationals on that flight. Iran plane shot down. Let's see. A plane crashes in Iran shortly after takeoff. When countries shot down their own planes. 53 minutes ago. Launches missile attacks on U.S. bases. Everybody on board the 737. 3 British people. 6 other countries. I think there were some people from Turkey on there, but I don't know what it's all about. Yeah, so let us know how you feeling about that whole deal. So people are thinking about Flight 655, where shit was blown up over the Straits of Hormuz. Wild. Wild. Why was the starball doing this? Did it think she wasn't eating enough? It was probably right. She'd eaten almost nothing yesterday. Still, the thought of the starball walking around the house in the dead of the night to chug and sure didn't sit well with her. Hmm. She wondered if she'd been sleepwalking, or if the starball could directly control her movement. Like a puppet. She started to shiver. You chose this. You knew what you were agreeing to, Freya told herself. She wondered if she should go throw up. Uh-huh. She wondered if she should go throw up. Ensure was fortified with vitamins. 7 cans of it might make her sick. She paused, trying to gauge how she felt, but other than feeling a little bloated, she was okay. She inspected herself in the mirror again before her shower, and she looked fine. Her color was good. The dark wells under her eyes seemed less pronounced. Still, the unease would not slip from her mind. There was nothing she could do now but hope she didn't throw up in class. The thought of school reminded her she needed to bring tools to work on the bike today. She took a toolbox and added the metric heads. Mm-hmm. There was nothing she could do now but hope she didn't throw up in class. The thought of school reminded her she needed to bring tools to work on the bike today. Mm-hmm. So we're going to go back. Because Lassa said something to her about sleepwalking. So Hamel says copies all and Halimil. What is it? It's actually Halimamel. Says copies all and sells. I will tell you that it is almost impossible for somebody to copy your work as a writer because books are so fucking hard to market. And they're really, really difficult. It just takes so much effort to get people to pay attention to a book and write it at all that you could take everything that I put and throw it on Amazon right now, and nobody would pay any attention to you whatsoever. And then also there's like the additional difficulty that if you did manage to make money off of it, that I would pop up in the dead of the night and murder you. So yeah, it's just like very difficult to rip somebody off in that way, especially because of the murder part of it. So yeah, I'm not too worried about putting this out. In fact, if you look online, all of my books are already available for free on my website, and I will also put this up for free when it's done. I don't. There are a lot of people out there who can't afford books, and I want everybody to be able to take a crack at this. This got real too fast, according to that guy. I'm just saying, this just I'd say there's just like a slight 100% chance that you would get murdered. So, not to threaten our Twitch audience or anything like that. Just, a little bit of murder. That's all. Murder, murder. God. You can hear like the oh boy, I'm scared. You can hear like the enthusiasm in my voice there, where I just want somebody to fuck with me so I have an excuse. Because I love that revenge. It's such a bad thing to be into. I have some really good phone calls on the other show. Revenge is like a constant theme that pops up in the show, and I just love revenge. I want to write a whole book that's just about revenge. It's just like it's the most to me. It's such a like a compelling theme because it's so nuanced, right? Like revenge is never good. It always makes you feel terrible after you get the revenge. Terrible like the whole time that you want the revenge, but at the same time, you can't fucking stop yourself. Like the desire for revenge is almost like an alive thing. I like the way that feuds kind of take on this life of their own, um, and they swell into something larger than the people that are involved. That's cool. I like that. Uh, I'm down with the Sicilians in this regard. Uh, so anyhow, welcome to the stream. There, yeah, like we have, we got it all here. We got novel editing, we got science fiction, we got young women feeling insecure in their bodies, we got murder threats, everything that you could possibly want in a stream. Tell your friends. This is day 35 of editing this book. We're currently on page 321 of 787. I have pledged to edit every day without fail, unless I'm like in the hospital or in jail. And we're going to try and finish this by the end of March. So yeah, it's a hard road to follow. When we get later into the editing of this, there will be some days where it will just be me staring at the screen like, what the fuck do I do? Like the whole day will just be that. Young women feeling insecure in their bodies. I thought you were talking about me there for a second. Yeah, so this is a story of like a 16-year-old girl. And as you can see from looking at me, it's been a long time since I was a 16-year-old girl. So we're trying to get some beta readers involved in it to let us know if the parts specifically about being like a young woman ring true. So it's like a very difficult voice for me to nail because it's kind of foreign to my own experience. So yeah, I'm working on it right here. I was a 16. I think all of us were once a 16-year-old girl at heart. I remember my sweet 16 like it was yesterday. But I digress. All right, so this is what we. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Apparently, this is getting kinkier than you thought. Lord have mercy. You have no idea how fucked up this is about to get. We're Let's all be 16-year-old. Yeah, let's have like a fucking sleepover editing party. But yeah. Just if you think it's strange now, wait about 200 pages. I'm not absolutely, positively not fucking around with this book. Because I am an independent author right now, I can write whatever I want. I don't have to worry about getting things published. I'm fully capable of putting this out myself. If a publisher is like, yeah, we'd like for you to take out all the graphic masturbation and stuff, I can just tell them, like, speaking of graphic masturbation, go fuck yourself, right? I am fully capable of putting this book out on my own. As you can see, like I do all my own graphic work. I can typeset. I know everything that I need to about getting books published. So this is going to come out one way or the other. It's just a question of whether or not I have to pay the $7,000 out of pocket to get it professionally edited and proofread. Which honestly, if Bitcoin keeps climbing, like that might be, that might be our out here. I could sink all my Bitcoins into editing a book. God, how dumb would that be? Lord have mercy. All right. Freya didn't believe the starball would hurt her. There was nothing she could do now but hope she didn't throw up in class. The thought of school reminded her she needed to bring. Okay, cool. So here, we seize this opportunity right here to have a callback to Lassa, right? Lassa is not present enough in this book, and in this rewrite, we need to increase. We need to like think hard about how much sense it makes to have her just disappeared off into the wilderness. We need to justify that response. A lot of it is just because I didn't want to write Lassa scenes. They're very difficult to write with Freya. And also, they set the tenor of the book because her relationship with her mother is so adversarial. Um, yeah, this is a tough one there. But this accomplishes some of our goals. We remind the reader like Lassa exists. We also take this opportunity to slip in this part. Freya didn't believe the starball would hurt her. Critical, critical, critical. You can remember where earlier we were talking a little bit about like how does Freya feel about the starball? How does she start to anthropomorphize it? And here already she's taking this leap of faith. It doesn't want to hurt me because so many times she's like felt it trying to prevent her suicide. So that's interesting. Um, so let's see. Think hard, hard. Oh God. So I guess chapter 43. I guess chapter 43 is the infamous masturbation caper. I'm not sure if we're gonna give these chapters like chapter titles. I don't think we will. I Yeah, there are other chapters that are kind of like untoward in this book. I will tell you, like the book is increasingly going from like R-rated to NC-17 to what the fuck is happening in the later stages of the book. I don't want to like anybody to have their mind blown, but chapter 43 is hot and humid. Good God. Uh, but also, I don't want to oversell it too. I mean, it's all going to be kind of understated when we get through editing it. It's pornographic now, but it'll be literary when I'm done with it. The thought of school reminded her she needed to bring tools to work on the bike today. She took the toolbox and added the metric hex wrenches in case the quick release on the brakes didn't work. She also took the bike multi-wrench in case the axle nuts were stuck. She didn't need tire levers. She was going to pull off the damaged wheels and bring them to Bailey Bicycle on Thoreau Street to get new tubes and tires put on. Wait. So Spaethiwa is saying watching the edit stream for it was the worst thing I have experienced this year? Are you fucking... It wasn't that bad. Oh my god. Oh my god. But it was it was fun in a morbid way. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. It was just like a little blue, and then we had to fucking polish it up. And it came out to be like a good chapter. Right? I thought it was like well handled. The worst thing he experienced all year. No, Spaethiwa is well aware of. Speaking of murdering, I still need to get Spaethiwa those documents. Don't think I've forgotten about it. Just I've been like really busy at work and haven't had time to assemble things. But part of working from home today will be maybe assembling some of those Raposaurus documents. So when everything was ready, she called a cab. The taxi driver was the chatty... I just want to use the phrase taxi driver there. When everything was ready, she called a cab. When everything was ready, Freya called a cab. When it arrived, she winced. The taxi driver was the chatty old man with the grandson at Bowden. His face lit up when he recognized her. The drive to school felt like an eternity. Her ears were still ringing with second-hand football glory when they finally got to Grayson and she made her escape. Freya was early, so she'd have time to go to the office before first period. Freya had arrived early, so she'd have time to go to the office before first period. Mr. Evers and Officer Ed were already there. They both had the same "oh no" expression she'd had when the cat... But the year is young. Oh, yeah, so you missed chapter 43? Good God. You can see, like, the visible discomfort on my face as we go through that chapter. I'm just like... the whole time. Oh, it really is quite a spectacle. I mean, it's not too bad. Like, I think I own up to my mistakes there. I'm like, what have I done? And I think we were able to work through it and actually come out with like a really good chapter, despite some pretty lurid descriptions in there. And I like the fact that we can. So I'll tell you what my theory on it is that you should write sex scenes raunchier and dial them back, right? Just because it's easier to tone something down than it is to add like excitement. And that's going to happen by natural. Like if you're a dude, because you're like in the middle of a coffee shop writing with a big old hard on that you could hang a 4-wheel gate from. And shout out to, I forget the name of that. We played that song on the other show a bunch of times, but I forget at the name of the song is Choctaw Bingo. It's by James McMurray. I'm gonna play that on the show tomorrow. Yeah, it's like a honky tonk song there, but it's a dope song. No, it's fine. Sorry to bug you again, she said, holding up her palms in apology. You must be so sick of me. No, it's fine. It's just been a tough morning. It's going to be okay. It's good you're here. We were just about to come looking for you. Wait, what happened? Freya asked, suddenly confused. Mr. Evers and Officer Ed looked at each other for a moment, and Mr. Evers nodded quickly. Radomir Stitch was attacked last night. He was badly beaten, and he's at Flying Horse Regional Hospital. Radomir Stitch was attacked last night, Freya. He was badly beaten, and he's at Flying Horse. It's not life-threatening, but he's in rough shape. Yeah, well, yeah, we have to take that out. He was badly beaten, and he's at the hospital now. He was badly beaten. It's not life-threatening, but he's in rough shape. Okay. By the way, the GRAVID link on the Twitch panel is broken. Oh, weird. I wonder where it points to. We'll remind after the stream. We need to tune up the Twitch thing in general. I don't think that it provides like enough information to viewers about where they want to be there. Yeah, we're not getting a ton of hits to ZachZYZ.com in general. Maybe I should like fix some stuff on it. I don't know. But Radomir Stitch was attacked last night, Freya. Officer Ed was speaking slowly, making strong eye contact. Oh my God, Freya said. Automatically, her hand snaked into her pocket to grip the star ball. How bad is it? He has a fairly serious concussion and a broken nose. We think he was attacked by several people. We're not sure who they were yet. Malcolm Lewis, Freya said, without thinking. Officer Ed nodded. I'm looking into that. It happened outside of the school. They got him walking home. Can I see him? Freya asked. Officer Ed shook his head no. Yeah. Part of that is... Officer Ed shook his head. He's hurt too bad to see anyone yet. He couldn't really give a statement. We're going to make an announcement to everyone this morning. We're going to make an announcement about the attack later this morning and ask people to come forward. Oh my God. I should have reported this last night. I'm so stupid. What do you mean? Officer Ed asked. The tires on my bike were slashed yesterday. I found it when I was getting ready to bike home. It'll be on the security cameras. Mr. Evers sucked in air through his teeth. That's what I was coming in to report. It was probably Malcolm. He got all pissed off at us at the party on Sunday. He was calling me a snitch and trying to start a fight. Freya took out her phone and showed him the pictures she'd taken of the slashed tires and the shredded seat. I know I should have come and told you right after school when I found out, but I was too upset. I just wanted to go home. Mr. Everett's mouth was a flat line, and the corner of his eyes were wrinkled with disappointment. He had told Freya to report everything to him right away. Even though he had this good sense not to say that, her stomach lurched with guilt. Why hadn't she just come to the office? It's okay, Freya. I wouldn't have gotten the report until this morning anyhow. It would have been too late, Officer Ed assured her. Freya wondered if he was just lying to make her feel better. It didn't matter. She knew she'd screwed up. Freya wasn't allowed to go into the security office to look at the tapes with them, so she sat staring out the window in Mr. Everett's office, feeling wretched until they returned. It was Malcolm Lewis, Officer Ed confirmed. We'll send a car to his house. If he shows up to school today, I'll arrest him. Is your bike still on the rack? I'm going to take some pictures of it if so. Is your bike still in the rack? I want to take some more pictures. I was going to fix the tires today at lunch. Is that okay? I brought some tools. That should be fine after I take the pictures. If you buy new tires or anything, bring me a copy of the receipts, please. Bring me a copy of the receipt, please. Oh. What do we got here? Oh, apparently Etsy has updated their privacy policy. I didn't need to know that. Wait, were you planning to walk down to Bailey Bicycle? She nodded again. Don't go alone, please. I can give her a ride down there after this is all settled. The situation here has just gotten too ugly. I won't go alone, Freya promised, and Officer Ed headed off to take pictures. Let's talk. And when he was gone, Mr. Evers sighed. Let's talk for a second in my office, please, Freya. Let's talk for a second in my office, please. Oh, wait, she's already in his office there. Mm-hmm. Okay, so there we have an object permanence issue where she's in his office and he's like, let's talk for a second in my office. Let's talk for a second, please, Mr. Evers suggested, shutting the door to his office. From his tone, she knew right away what he wanted to talk about. So this is a spot where I don't think at present that you would have, just given like the current like climate, it may be that it's unrealistic for a male administrator to be alone with a female student and like shut the door to the office. You know what I mean? But in the case of the story, I don't want to get into that level of realism. Like in some, I don't know whether or not that would still happen. But I'm not. I actually have some friends who are like vice principals and stuff that I could ask if they would ever do that. That's kind of like an interesting. All right, yeah, let's. We could just take out the shutting the door thing, but I want the shutting the door thing here to have like that segue from previous chapter into here. So yeah, like if I think of it, I'll ask if that would ever happen, but it's not super important. Is it about Mr. Manzini's class last night? I was just overwhelmed. I feel much better today, or at least I did until this happened. I was feeling better today. I was just overwhelmed. I was feeling better today. That's it. I just want to know if you need time off. I just want you to know if you need time off, it's not a problem at all. Don't push yourself too hard. It's not that. I need to study harder and stop zoning out in class. Mr. Manzini was really nice about it. Please don't get him in trouble over the book thing. I wouldn't dream of it. I honestly wouldn't dream of it. Oh, yeah. I honestly wouldn't dream of it. He's upset enough with himself as it is. All right, so that's like... He's upset enough at himself. Freya nodded. She hated the thought of Mr. Manzini beating himself up over it. She hated the thought of Mr. Manzini beating himself up over a dumb joke. She wondered if there was anything she could do or say to make him feel better. Will you let me know as soon as it's okay to visit Radomir? Will you let me know as soon as I can visit Radomir? We'll have to set that up through his parents, but I'm sure they'll be happy to have his friends visit. I'll let them know you're interested. Thank you, Freya. I wish this would all stop happening, Freya said. Mr. Evers nodded in agreement. He looked so tired. Cool. Ugh. Oh, we're getting there, slowly but surely. And we just got like a few chapters left there. All throughout first period, Freya could feel her phone humming with texts. She texted Dan to let him know about Radomir. She'd messaged Dan to let him know about Radomir, and he tagged her in a group chat that exploded. She couldn't check her phone during class. Mrs. Gant was a real hard ass. I don't know if children use the word hard ass anymore. I think hard ass is like way out of... Let's see if there's a more appropriate one. No, it's not even a word. All right, fine. We can use hard ass. Near the end of the period, the whiteboard blinked into announcement mode. Mr. Evans appeared on the screen at his desk behind a microphone. His face was shadowed with stress. The class was silent. Everyone else was having the same experience Freya had the day she got punched. Most of the students had never seen Mr. Evers look so serious. Good morning, everyone. Please pay attention. Last night, one of our students was attacked on his way home from school. That student is currently at Flying Horse Regional Hospital, recovering from severe but not life-threatening injuries. Again, Mr. Evers became that flat line of unhappiness. She could hear a collective intake of air, eyes darting around the room. Each set of eyes found its way onto her. Violence against our students is completely unacceptable. No student should have to worry. No student or faculty member should have to worry about their personal safety, either inside of Grayson or on their way to school. No student or faculty member should have to worry about their personal safety, either inside of Grayson or on their way to or from school. Yes. Or on their way home. No student or faculty member should have to worry about their personal safety inside of Grayson High School or on their way home. I am asking everyone for their assistance in identifying the people responsible for this attack. If you saw or heard anything about it, please come speak with me, with Officer Edwards, or with any faculty member you feel comfortable talking to. I want to remind everyone, if you have a problem with another student, or if they have a problem with you, my door is always open. I promise you, no matter how tough it seems, we can help. We will keep you all updated on the situation. All right, so I just had a thought as we're working on this. I think it makes a lot more sense for to not show who was. Yeah, it makes so much more sense. Okay, so we're gonna make a change here. No. Oh yeah, he would be on camera the whole time. Yeah, we because he'd be coming out of. Let's see if we can ID them from their car. Okay, the slasher is wearing a hood. We don't get a clear shot of their face. They came from the parking lot. I'll have to review the other camera feeds to see if we can ID them from their car. But it looks like the right height for Mr. Lewis. If he shows up at school today, I'll arrest him. Is your bike still on the rack, Freya? I want to take some more pictures. Okay. Cool. So, critical right there, because I think the level of illegal behavior involving Malcolm Lewis, like, it escalates too quickly in the storyline here. And we can elevate the tension a little bit with him getting away with shit for like a little bit longer. He just wound up being a character for longer than I thought that he was going to be. And so we're going to de-escalate some of the legal trouble that he's in at the very beginning, so that we can escalate it a lot later, potentially. Okay. Mrs. Gant was a real hard ass. Near the end of the period, the whiteboard... We did this. Thank you all. Have a good day. The class erupted as soon as the announcement ended, and Miss Gant had to clap her hands together to get everyone to settle down, like they were in grade school. Wait, I think grade school would also mean... What does grade school mean? Because I think that would include high school. An elementary school that had... Okay, so it does only mean elementary school. An Americanism dating from 1850 to 55. Okay. Yeah, so it does mean elementary school. Why don't we just say elementary school? Oh, because it's too long. Yeah, grade school is better. Okay. The class erupted as soon as the announcement ended, and Miss Gant had to clap her hands together like they were in grade school to get everyone to settle down. Better. All right, let's shift. Everyone wanted to know who was hurt. They all kept looking at Freya, and she felt cornered. Yeah, maybe I should start making my own cold brew. I wonder how hard that would be to do. I spelled aneurysm wrong. So this is the coffee that I like the best. Anodyne Roast & Co. What do they cost? Oh, they don't have the, let me see. Central America. Atomic Blend, Decaf Fool's Gold. Donuts Friend Blend from Indonesia. Little Red Roaster, Milwaukee Public Marker. Okay, so I think I like their espresso beans the best there. Yeah, am I gonna get a fucking espresso machine? That'd be ridiculous. I wonder if I would even do that. I wonder how you make cold brew. But yeah, like I just realized I'm gonna spend like $600 on coffee whilst I'm here. So maybe it's worth just getting like a coffee machine if we're gonna be writing here full time. And then you can hear in the background like the grinder and steam like fucking happening and everything. I'm thinking about it. There's another part of it is I just don't like quite get the quantity I need, and because it's in cans, like having another can now would be ridiculous there. I think I'll think about it there. Okay, cool. I agree with that moderation decision, Spathy well. The class erupted as soon as the announcement ended, and Miss Gant had to clap her hands together like they were in grade school to get everyone to settle down. Everyone wanted to know who was hurt. They all kept looking at Freya, and she felt cornered. Who was it? Bill Dennison asked Freya, turning around in his seat to face her. He was on the debate team and had eyebrows that are naturally much darker than his hair. Dark, cartoonish eyebrows. Dark, animated eyebrows. Freya looked at Mrs. Gant, unsure what to say. She frowned back, glancing at the whiteboard. Mrs. Gant frowned back, glancing at the whiteboard, then at the class. It'll be all over the school before lunch anyway. Radomir Stitch was the student who was attacked, Mrs. Gant said. He has a concussion, but he should be okay. Everyone was suddenly talking at once again, and once more Mrs. Gant clapped her hands for silence. Was it because he hit that girl? Bill asked. We don't know yet. It's still a crime, regardless of the reason for it. Her voice was sharp with tension. He shouldn't have done that, Bill continued, and there were murmurs of agreement from some corners of the class. No one should hit anyone, Mrs. Gant cut him off before he could say something stupid. Freya was glaring at the back of his head, wishing she could just choke him out. Bill was so smarmy. He hadn't been there when Radomir hit Jane. He didn't know what she'd said. He didn't know anything. The last 5 minutes of class were everyone waiting to get out so they could check their phones. As Freya walked to her next class, too many conversations stopped dead as she passed. Too many eyes were on her. She looked at her phone to get away from it. There were almost 100 texts in the group. I shouldn't have let Malcolm... there were almost 100 texts in the group. The latest was, Dan. I should have straightened him out at the party. There were a dozen ... indicators of people typing at once, but no message followed. Everyone was struggling for what to say. You did the right thing. Fighting would have only made this worse, Freya sent. No, yeah, it doesn't track with her because she's a vengeful person. She probably does wish that he beat her the fuck out. Indicators typo. Indictors. Yeah, weird. I wonder what an indictor is. Somebody who indicts? Uh, a verb, indictor, is to bring a formal accusation against. Okay, yeah, so an indictor is somebody who hands down an indictment. Um, okay. Indict. Yeah, it's weird that. Why does indict pronounced like that? It totally should be indict, but it's definitely indict. Oh, fucking English, man. This is garbage language for Mongos. Oh, 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 God. Lord have mercy. Yeah, like I'm already my strength is flagging, but but no message followed. Everyone was struggling for what to say. Mash all the unwanted garbage from Latin, French, Greek, Gaelic together. Bam, English. Yeah, it really is just like a tremendous hodgepodge of fuckstickery and tomfoolery and jargon. And I'd like to see what language in the world is the least internally consistent in terms of its grammar and its spelling. And I would be like a little bit shocked if it's not English. Oh, we're so sloppy. Uh, I don't know. Maybe like Chinese is way more ridiculous, and I just have no idea. But yeah, English seems like it might be the way to go. And it's just because like it's absorbed so many different weird cultures and cram them together. I mean, potentially Russian could lay claim to the whole thing. Maybe Spanish is really fucked up, right? Because they've colonized like such a broader swath of the world than Americans ever did, and like absorb way more indigenous cultures. I think it's like at root like a little bit grammatically simpler of a language. Like there are fewer exceptions. Um, yeah, let's take a look. Okay, so there are yeah, so English has about many times uh as many words. And I wonder so Spanish has far more tenses, which is true, like vosotros and all that. Spanish has gendered nouns, phonetical features such as the tonic syllable with something called the tilde, and on the flip side, English has a no, just different. It is analogous to fuck off. Analogous to asking. Suck a dick. It's definitely a quantifiable thing, right? We can definitely quantify which language has more complexity in their grammar. But yeah, so I'm interested in that. But it's not going to help us out of this book. So yeah, I was hoping that we get like a linguist away, and I should know this shit, but I was a terrible linguist. Um, no, so here are we. He's the most likely culprit. It looks like about the right height for him as well. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's not get into the whole group text. Yeah, so sorry to be so silent there. This is just like a little bit of fencing around here. Freya looked at the members of the group text, considering what the response would be, and then she decided to send the picture of her slashed tires. Malcolm Lewis is on camera slashing my tires. Total fucking creep. Mm-hmm. My tires got slashed last night. It was probably Malcolm. He's a total fucking creep. She weighed each word before she sent it. She knew the picture would get passed around. She wanted to shift the conversation away from Radomir getting what he deserved from hitting Jane and towards Malcolm Lewis being a psycho. She sent the image. Half a dozen WTF responses followed immediately. Do you want help fixing that? Tate asked. Thanks, I can fix it, but do you... half a dozen WTF reactions appeared beneath the picture. Tate was the first to respond. Tate, do you want help fixing that? Ooh, yeah, I'm starting to feel a little wonky here. So I'm gonna finish editing this chapter. Um, she would rather Freya, I can fix it, but do you want to go down to Bailey with me at lunch to get new tires? They told me not to go alone. She would rather ask Dan, but seniors and juniors had second lunch. She had missed enough classes. She saw the typing indicator and hoped it was Dan anyway. No problem, Tate replied. By the end of second period, she was hungry again. Freya was hungry again, despite drinking 1,500 calories. Okay, so Mr. McCallahan is the second period teacher. That's good. The lesson had petered out, and everyone was checking their phones while Mr. McCallahan took a phone call himself in the hall. All right, actually, yeah, we gotta kind of stop here. I was like not feeling stellar at the start of today, and I'm like feeling a little wonky. I need to get something in my stomach, I think, much like Freya. So this is good. I think we've made good progress with these chapters here. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Don't look. 11, 12, 13, 14 pages left to go until we're halfway through the book in terms of chapters. So yeah, I think let's set a goal. So we're gonna stop streaming here, and let's fix that being indented wrong. Okay, so we're gonna come back to here. We have about 14 pages remaining today if we want to hit our chapter. But yeah, I'm gonna take a break myself because I am not feeling one hundo. All right, thank you for everybody for tuning in, for your corrections and all that stuff, the new friends we made along the way. And I just can't believe that was like the worst thing that happened to Spathy all year. I mean, it's I'm hurt. I'm hurt. It wasn't that bad. I don't know, maybe it was that bad. Maybe I just have no conception of how bad it truly was. I hope not. But I'm happy with the chapter now. That's all that matters. All right, penis pump, and we shall return.